Hi there, Mary Languish here with another FGI art tutorial. Today we'll be learning how to draw a rose. A lot of people want to know how to draw a rose because they're actually they look complicated, but I want to hopefully break that down into a simpler process for you to follow along. So when drawing a rose, you want to start with basic shapes. Honestly, with drawing anything, you'll hear me say this a lot. You want to start with basic shapes. And drawing lightly is huge, whether that means giving yourself a lighter pencil, like an H pencil, so that you don't push quite so hard, then go ahead and do that. But you want to ultimately use less pressure so you can capture the basic shape. So we're going to do a rose today that is kind of from the side, not completely open, but you can see kind of the bulb on the bottom, and you'll see some of the swirling petals on top. And so if I'm starting with some basic shapes, I want to start with this. Come a little bit closer in. And then we got the stem coming down, drawing lightly, getting the gist of the location of petals and major parts. Now I might just kind of show you what, again, basic shapes look like. So we're talking like, where do the top petals touch and where's the bottom bulb here? How do we now connect those into a rose? So that's step one, basic shapes. Now we can come in and try to outline basic petals. So I always start with bigger petals closer to me, and so outside, like this one kind of hangs over the edge a little bit, connects to the bulb. But rose petals have a lot of like curling petals as they go outward, and so you're going to get like these little shapes that kind of curve and curl, kind of like this. So you can draw those as little, little shapes, however you see them. And there's going to be another one here. This way with another little curl on the edge. So I draw like the petal itself, the whole petal, then I add the curl, which will go down inside the petal. And then from there, kind of working around the perimeter and noticing where petals are going and sticking out from. Remember, this line here I put was kind of the border, outside perimeter of those petals. This one comes in like that. Okay, so basic shape, outline shape. This can come in a little bit more now. So once I get some of my major petals in there, I like to come in to the center. Now, because of the perspective, it's a little bit higher. It's not going to be in the middle of this white space. It's going to be a little bit higher. There's a little loop, like the inside petal is just looping around itself. And then that kind of attaches to another little petal looping around itself. And you kind of work out, keeping things small, drawing shapes, drawing the curl, whatever you see, the lighter part that curls out, you could draw. Some of them don't necessarily curl out. They just make like these two here kind of mountainous shapes, and those just kind of connect and disappear into the rose. Let's see, we've got this one here. Goes around the whole perimeter of the little stuff, but it's got a curl on it, and then it connects behind and kind of goes into this guy. The thing with roses is that as long as you're kind of paying attention to those little shapes, you don't have to be super perfect about getting every single petal in there. You can kind of reach a point where you're like, oh, I don't have room for that one. Oh well, I got the other ones in there. Looks realistic. And that's kind of what you have to do sometimes, that you don't go insane. But I'm going to draw this. Definitely is a big curl that comes out this way. And then you can kind of see where that petal connects inside the rose. There's parts where you can see that happen more clearly, and you do want to make sure that you don't ignore those. This petal actually connects to here. You start to see when you work inside out how petals connect together, which is really, really important for capturing shape and accuracy with your petals. Okay, now I want to fix just the bulb a little bit down here, because I had just a basic shape, but I want to fix that so it's not too perfect semicircle. And then I want to go in and I want to add the little green guys that were surrounding the bud. It was a little rosebud. Again, drawing what you see. Draw them as shapes. Don't draw them as, oh, these are little pokey things and drawing them all the same. Really look at what you're drawing. There's a petal here. I'll just kind of let it come up into the frame a little bit. Kind of like that. All right, so now we can jump into value. That's going to make this really come to life. So I am going to change to a slightly darker pencil, a 3B. I was using a B just to sketch it out, but a 3B. Sometimes you can actually just lightly rub over your sketch to get rid of anything that's too dark with the kneaded eraser. And then I go in and start again with the center, working out, and anything that's really, really, really dark, I want to start there. And this is what's going to really bring your rose to life, is looking at the values and putting those in where you see them. I'm just doing the really dark values first. And then where it fades into like a medium value, making sure I've got a soft transition. I'll do blending and stuff later, but just looking for the dark, dark, dark shapes and going for those first. And they'll get a little lighter as you go out, but you can still kind of keep things as dark shapes here. This is the outside. It's got a dark part. If you realize that you covered something that you shouldn't cover, take your eraser. You can always fix it. But each petal, if you drew each petal correctly with like the curve that comes out, which is always catching the light, it's gonna be light red, and then underneath or inside is gonna be dark. And so as long as you go for those little sections first with your dark, you'll start to see how this comes to life a little bit more. On bigger curls, you get kind of a side that shadow on the inside, highlight, shadow on the outside, because they really curl. All right, so we got the really, really dark shadows in there. I guess some of these have a little bit on the ends as it comes in. But we want to kind of go in now and just add kind of a medium and start to blend things a little bit more to bring it more to life. So I'm going to switch to something a little bit lighter. we'll do a 2H, something that can kind of blend a little bit more. And obviously we're working with red, and so the rose itself can be a little bit like glazed with a light value. Especially certain petals like in here that aren't super bright, you can kind of give them a layer of value, not as dark as what you have in the background, or for your dark values, I mean, in the inside. You're just giving it a little bit of something. So I know like this center in here, you want to have more medium that transitions that little petal down into the dark. Same with this little guy here. There's parts of the curls, the big curls that get a little bit darker. Blending, so it just looks nice and soft. I haven't actually used my finger yet, but I can jump in and do that a little bit. This petal is pretty dark out here. Green can have a value on it as well. Nothing's really bright white except for our paper, so we want to give everything a little bit of value to suggest the color of the object when you're using something like pencil. You can see how this H pencil really blends the dark a little bit more. You can start to, just a really light touch and it kind of covers what needs to be covered with the value. Just darken here. You can always go back and darken. It's a good thing to do. This leaf back here is pretty dark. I'm going to change the shape here, some artistic license, and make it look a little bit more rose-like as it comes around. There we go. And this is a nice dark green leaf, so we want to make sure that we're capturing that with our value. Get a little bit of a highlight on the side of that stem, which brings it forward more. Now we can just clean up some of our basic shape that was in there before. Make sure we have all that we want in the picture. Our lines should have disappeared a little bit into our shading so we don't have outlines for our rose. But there you have the finished rose. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more art content. But thanks for watching, and until next time, bye!